All right, ready to dive in. Today we're getting into something pretty crucial, the whole mystery of those vanishing honeybees. I mean, I know you sent over this article about it, and it's uh, a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it is. And it really does go way beyond just honey.
Yeah, no kidding. No
Yeah.
honey is one thing, but what about like no apples, no almonds?
Right, exactly. Imagine no morning coffee. It's a lot bigger than just one thing.
It is. It is. So this colony collapse disorder, this CCD everyone's talking about, what's like actually happening in these hives?
Well, picture this. You've got this city, and it's totally alive, bustling even. The next day, empty, deserted. That's basically what's happening. The
Yeah.
queen's there still. The baby bees, the brood, all the honey, it's all there. But the workers, they're just gone,
Yeah.
vanished.
So they're not like dying off inside or
That
anything?
this is gone. And this isn't just like one weird hive. This is global.
Yeah.
The US, UK, Italy, Germany, beekeepers everywhere are reporting the same thing.
That is pretty freaky, like something out of a movie. Okay, so we've got like the picture of what CCD looks like, but why should we care so much? You mentioned it's not just about honey, so what makes bees so important?
Well, you know how plants need help to reproduce, right? Think of bees as like the ultimate matchmakers. They pollinate something like a third of all the crops we use for food.
Wow, a third.
Yeah, so all those fruits, veggies, nuts, a lot of that depends on bees.
So we're talking way beyond honey. This could be a food crisis if they all disappear.
It really could be. And even beyond that, Darwin, the evolution guy, he was obsessed with bees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he noticed with bumblebees, if they're gone, some plants go extinct, then the animals that ate those plants, they're in trouble. Like a chain reaction.
So bees are like the first domino.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what's the article say is making these worker bees vanish.
All signs point to pesticides, specifically this group called neonicotinoids. There's a ton of research connecting them to CCD.
Like what kind of research?
Well, there's this one study, Professor Liu at Harvard, he did it, and he fed bees this sugar syrup, but it was laced with these neonicotinoids. And the bees, they basically got lost. They couldn't find their way back home.
So it's not like the pesticides are killing them right away, but...
No, but it messes them up. They
Yeah.
can't do their job. They get disoriented.
Right.
It shows how, like, the old way of testing if a pesticide's safe, just seeing if it kills them outright, might be missing something huge, right?
Yeah, because even a little bit, if it messes with them.
Exactly. It's those sublethal effects.
Sublethal.
It means it doesn't kill them right off, but over time, it messes with their behavior, their health. They can't reproduce as well, like a slow poison.
It's kind of scary to think what we might be missing with like other chemicals too. Even the stuff they say is safe for us.
It is a little unsettling, yeah. And it raises some big questions about how we use chemicals in general. But getting back to the bees, the article talks about the history of pesticide use, especially for weeds.
Oh yeah. I remember my grandma talking about weeding by hand. Like it was this huge chore.
Yeah, it was. And then herbicides come along, promising to make it all easy and fast.
Right.
And yeah, it did make things more efficient, more food, all that. But then we start seeing these downsides, right? We traded all that hard work for chemicals everywhere.
It's like you want to make things easier for people, but then
There's always a trade-off, right?
it is. It is. It's that whole thing of how do we balance what humans need with protecting the environment?
Right. And as the population keeps growing, that balance gets tougher and tougher.
It really does.
Yeah.
So we've got bees disappearing. They're vital for our food, for the whole ecosystem. Pesticides might be the culprit. But the article talks about ethics too, right?
Yeah, it does. And that adds a whole other layer to all this.
We'll definitely have to get into that.
We will. But for now, what I hope you're taking away, you listening, is that this isn't just about bees. It's how everything's connected.
Yeah,
Even small actions can have big, unexpected effects.
that's a good point. So we've covered a lot, but this is just the start of our deep dive. Stick around. We'll get more into the science, the solutions, and the bigger picture of this whole bee mystery.
It makes you think, what else are we missing? What other effects are we not seeing?
Yeah, it's like, what if we're all in this giant experiment and we don't even know all the factors involved?
Right. And speaking of experiments, the article mentions that, yeah, neonicotinoids seem like a big part of CCD, but it's not the only thing going on.
So what else is contributing to all this bee decline?
Well, habitat loss is huge. As humans take over more land, bees lose places to forage, to nest. It's like,
Like we're taking their homes away.
exactly, bulldozing them for more development.
That's a good way to put it. And it's not just space, right? It's also about the variety of plants they need.
Exactly. Monoculture farming, where it's just the fields of the same crop, it's like a food desert for bees.
They need options.
They do. Imagine if you had to eat the same thing every single day, it wouldn't be healthy.
Definitely not. So it's like instead of a farmer's market with all these different foods, it's just one vending machine with only one choice.
That's a great way to think about it. And then there's climate change too, of course. Temperatures changing, weird weather, it throws off when flowers bloom, the bees get confused, their whole schedule's messed up.
So we've got habitat loss, lack of variety in their food, and climate change messing things up. It sounds like a lot for them to handle.
It is, and all those things can make the other problems even worse, Like if a colony's weak from pesticides, then climate change hits them harder.
It's a vicious cycle. So this is all pretty heavy. Does the article offer any solutions? Like, what can we even do about this?
It does, yeah. And there are definitely things we can do both as a society and just in our own lives.
Okay, give us some hope here. What can people do?
Well, one of the easiest things, and it makes a big difference, is planting bee-friendly gardens. Choose different kinds of flowers that bloom throughout the year so bees always have something to eat.
So like a buffet for bees.
Exactly. And really important, skip the pesticides in your garden. Either find natural ways to deal with pests, or honestly, just learn to live with a few imperfections.
Good point. A perfect garden might not actually be a good thing for bees or the environment.
Exactly. Oh, and if you ever see a swarm of bees, don't freak out.
Yeah, a lot of people are scared of that.
Right, but just call a beekeeper, they can safely remove them.
What about supporting local beekeepers? I know there's a movement for buying local honey.
Definitely. Buying local honey, any bee products really, it's a direct way to help those beekeepers. They're like the front line in all this, they need the support. And another thing, you can push for laws and policies that promote sustainable farming and reduce pesticide use.
So it's about choices we make every day, really, from the food we buy to how we take care of our gardens. It all adds up,
It does, and it's not about being perfect, it's about those little steps in the right direction.
right? We don't have to become bee experts overnight.
No, but we can all do something, and that's the main thing to remember. We're not helpless here. Every little thing can contribute to the solution.
I like that. So speaking of solutions, the article also gets into how bees have adapted to survive all these amazing things they do.
Oh, yeah. Bees have these incredible strategies to live in different environments. It's really quite amazing.
Okay, tell us more. This is where it gets interesting. Okay, tell us more. This is where it gets interesting.
So first of all, those fuzzy little bodies, right? They're like perfectly made for collecting pollen.
Yeah, they always look covered in it.
They are. Each hair has these little like barbs on it. So it's like Velcro for pollen. They go from flower to flower and it just sticks to them.
That's cool. I never knew that. So
Yeah.
all that pollen, it's not just for honey then.
Nope. It's their main food source, gives them protein, energy, all that.
Okay.
And get this, they've even got these like special baskets on their back legs. Corbiculae, they're called.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
Right. They use them to carry the pollen back to the hive.
So they're not just like accidentally picking up pollen. They're actually packing it in.
Exactly. Efficient little shoppers.
That's amazing. What about that dance they do? I've heard about that.
Oh, the waggle dance. Yeah, it's how they communicate, the angle they waggle at, how long they do it for. It tells other bees where the good flowers are, how far away they are.
So it's like their own code, their own language, just for finding fraud.
Pretty much.
That is amazing. What else about how they live is so unique?
Well, their whole social structure is super complex, too. You've got the queen. She lays all the eggs, and then it's all the worker bees, all females, doing everything else, taking care of the babies, building the hive, getting food, protecting the colony.
Wow, it's like a well-oiled machine, huh?
It is, and they've been perfecting it for millions of years.
It makes you realize how serious this decline is. They've adapted to so much, but now...
Right, this is different.
Yeah. It really shows how much what we do affects the natural world. Even stuff we might not think about, like what we plant in our yard or the food we buy.
It all has an impact, absolutely. And thinking bigger picture, this whole bee thing, it's really about us figuring out how to keep moving forward without, destroying the planet in the process.
It's that balance, like we were talking about before.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not easy, but it's important.
Well, this deep dive has been honestly really eye-opening. I have a whole new respect for bees now.
Me too. And the good news is more people are starting to pay attention. They're realizing how important bees are, and they're looking for ways to help.
That is good news.
It is. That's why these conversations are so important. It's not just about understanding the problem, it's about giving people the knowledge to do something about it.
So as we wrap things up here, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this?
That even small actions can make a difference. Plant a flower, buy some local honey, spread the word. Every little bit helps.
Well said. This has been a fascinating journey into the world of bees, that's for sure. And I think the big takeaway is we're all connected, right? What we do today affects the world of tomorrow for all of us. So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those questions.